Good morning, Jonathan Ratchik from Kramer, Dunleavy and Ratchik. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the top 5 mistakes people make after getting into a car crash here in New York City and potentially how to avoid them. So if you've ever been in a car crash, everything is moving super fast all at once. Traffic, sirens, people shouting, people might be hurt. And in those hectic moments, it can be very easy to make decisions that weeks, months, or even years later might come back to hurt you. As a personal injury attorney, I've helped hundreds of New Yorkers who have been seriously injured after motor vehicle crashes, everything from pedestrian knockdowns to fender benders. And I see these, for lack of a better word, mistakes over and over again for people who are admittedly, and through no fault of their own, unaware of how their actions might affect them or their cases down the road. So here are the top 5 mistakes that I've come across in my 25 plus years of practicing personal injury law here in New York. And the first mistake is perhaps leaving the scene too quickly. And I get it, right? You've just been in a motor vehicle crash. Maybe you've been hit by a motor vehicle. You just want to get home. And that can be problematic. If you've been in a motor vehicle crash, it's important that the incident be documented. And the way that you do that is you call 911, call the police, call the paramedics, because when the police arrive, they're going to take the information from the driver. One of the things that an attorney can't do, you can't sue a driver if you don't know who the driver is, which is why it is so paramount, so important to get that license plate information from the motor vehicle. If you have a license plate, you can bring a lawsuit because you'll be able to identify the owner through the DMV search. It's also important to get the information regarding the driver, get the insurance information, which they should have, right? If you drive a car, you have license and registration in your glove compartment box. So it is important to get that information. And if you have the wherewithal, it's important, try to take photographs at the scene. These are all things that you can do if your mind is in the right place. Another mistake that people make right away, and this kind of ties in with the first one, is not getting checked or not seeking medical attention right away. Again, right after a motor vehicle crash, you're probably going to start experiencing some adrenaline. You're going to get pumped up. All of your senses are firing. And you might think, I'm not that hurt, or I just want to go home and sleep it off. Ultimately, you have to do what's right for you. I never advise anyone, client or prospective client, to do things on how you think it might affect your lawsuit down the road. If you're hurt, best to get treated, best to be seen by an emergency room or an urgent care center to make sure that you're physically okay. One reason for this is that you want to document your injuries. Insurance companies and their attorneys want to believe and will argue that if you're not seeking medical attention right away, you must not be hurt, which can't be further from the truth. Again, because of the adrenaline, you might not feel an injury right away. It might take hours, even days before an injury manifests itself, and then you start to experience symptoms, right? It can be maybe you wake up the next morning with lower back pain or neck stiffness. Maybe you don't have a broken bone. Maybe that is diagnosable right then and there, but there are soft tissue injuries, lumbar and cervical spine injuries that might not be evident at the scene, in which you have to get treated by a physician to document. So even if you just think you're going to get better on your own, better to be safe than sorry. Get your injuries documented. Another mistake that people oftentimes make, and again, this is not faulting them, but these are things that people just admittedly do at the scene, is admitting fault or saying something that can later on hurt them, right? So there's a legal doctrine, evidentiary doctrine, called an admission against interest. And if you say something at the scene which might be not in your best interest or against the interest of your resulting lawsuit, it can be held against you. So if you're a driver and then you say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you. Or if you're a pedestrian, you get hit by a car, how are you feeling? Oh, it's okay, I'm fine. It might seem like an innocuous, casual statement at the scene, but that statement can be used against you at a deposition, at trial, and it'll be used by opposing counsel to minimize your damages, to point the liability finger at you. So it's important to keep your mouth shut at the scene. Fault is not always very clear. Your injuries are not always very clear at the scene. And so it's best to say as little as possible about who's to blame or how you're feeling. If you're going to make statements to medical professionals, okay, don't make casual statements to bystanders or to the opposing party. Mistake number 4 that I see is thinking that the insurance company is your friend. Okay. Insurance companies and their adjusters, they are trained to be, or to sound sympathetic, to be empathetic, to make you believe that they're on your side and they're looking out for your best interest. But bear in mind, they have one job, and their job is to limit the insurance company's exposure and minimize their payout, because they are for-profit companies and they have to answer to their shareholders or to their owners. Okay. So they are not there to help you. They're not there to help you navigate the complicated system. Okay. And I've seen it so many times where an insurance adjuster, they might make you an offer very early on following an incident, and they'll make it sound like it's a great offer for you, or they want to take your statement just to get your side of things. That statement can be used in litigation. It can be used at a deposition. It can be used at trial. And they're going to ask you questions so as to minimize your injuries and to minimize your pain and suffering. So don't talk to an insurance company. They're not there to help you. And don't think that they're on your side. They're not. And the last mistake, number 5, is, and this kind of ties in with everything else, is waiting too long before seeking legal help or speaking to an attorney. New York State has very strict deadlines as it relates to personal injury claims or injury lawsuits. And not just the time in which to bring a lawsuit, but there are deadlines by which to file an application for no-fault benefits so that the insurance company pays for your medical bills and your lost earnings. These are things that if you don't comply with these deadlines, you are going to risk losing certain rights that you may have had. There's evidence that you might not be aware of, that if you don't have a lawyer on your side, you're not going to be able to get, and that evidence is going to disappear. It can be from traffic cams. It can be getting statements from witnesses. You don't have to speak to a lawyer right away, but it's certainly, I would say certainly within those first 30 days, maybe within those first 2 weeks, it's important to have a consultation with a personal injury attorney. Almost all of us offer free consultations for prospective clients. So there's no downside to speaking to an attorney sooner rather than later, because it will help preserve your rights and help preserve evidence that if you do have a case that gets put in suit, can be very beneficial to do that. So that is this week's episode. If you liked this week's episode, certainly follow us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel to which you can subscribe. And if you want to learn more information, you can visit our website at www.kdrpilawyers.com. Thank you again, and looking forward to the next episode.